What is Zenescope's most famous vampire hunter supposed to do when she's trapped in an underground city and all her friends are dead? Well, we've got the answer for you in our review of Van Helsing Vampire Hunter number 2 from Zenescope Comics. See you in 3. And welcome back to Comical Opinions. This is our review of Van Helsing Vampire Hunter number 2 from Zenescope Comics. And in this issue, Liesl Van Helsing is dropped into the middle of an underground city ruled by vampires who are building a super weapon. But before we get started, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell for notification. Your attention is greatly appreciated. Make sure to stay tuned to the end for the final rating and the score. So let's get into the credits for this issue. It is written by Pat Shand, art by Julia Pellegrini, colors by Robbie Bavard, letters by Taylor Esposito. Cover art for cover A, or the main cover, is done by Al Barrionuevo. So let's recap what happened in the previous issue to kind of bring us up to speed. In the previous issue, Liesl, and this is going back to the Victorian age version of Liesl before she jumped forward in time to the present day. So Liesl gets into a meeting with her friends Fiona and Arthur, where they talk about their adventures, and Arthur announces that his brother Silas has disappeared because he went off on a vampire hunt on his own. Not a smart move, but they go to find him and hopefully rescue him. So when they go to track down the trail of all the different haunts and different locations that Silas has visited, they eventually track his trail down to what appears to be an underground city that is being ruled by vampires and who have enslaved a large group of humans that are hollowing out the cave, putting in railroad tracks, building out buildings, and doing something that we don't quite know what, and ruled by a master vampire who we don't quite know who. But all that gets answered in this issue. So that's how we started off. So what happens in this issue? In this issue, Liesl wakes up in a prison cell. She's tied up, roped up, head is bleeding from a wound, and all her friends are gone. The door opens up and Silas is there. He's been turned into a vampire, and presumably he has now killed Fiona. He tosses Fiona's dead body into the cell and says, "I'll see you soon." And what we find out is he's already killed and turned Fiona into a vampire. And so Silas's intention is that either Liesl is going to kill Fiona or Fiona is going to kill Liesl, and we don't know which, but we find out pretty shortly. What happens is Liesl still has a hidden silver spike in her boot. She manages to break free, and despite the personal pain and anguish that it causes her, she kills Fiona. And she escapes the cell by using some of the water silver spray weaponry that Fiona still has on her body, even though she wouldn't have used it as a vampire. She escapes the cell and makes her way down through to into the large cavern where the humans are being whipped and beaten and worked to death as slaves to try and build out whatever they're building out. What we do see through side conversations and through Liesl's investigation, and also what Silas is doing on the back end, is he's talking to his quote-unquote master, who we now know is Lucy Westenra, who is Dracula's most famous lieutenant, at least in this version of Dracula in the Zenescope universe. So Lucy Westenra is the one that's masterminding this whole plan. What we then see later is that as Liesl is working her way through the caves, trying to find a way out, trying to find a way to escape, and also looking for opportunities to free all the humans that have been enslaved, she finds the vampires have been building this massive weapon that's on railway tracks. We don't know if it's a missile or some kind of gun. Don't know exactly what it does, but it's big, it's ominous looking, it's very steampunkish, which kind of fits with the theme of Liesl as a vampire hunter and the era in which she's occupying at this point in her history. And so what Liesl then does is she starts killing guards, trying to rally the humans that are still alive, and tries to basically instigate an uprising among the humans to free themselves from the vampires, because the humans outnumber the vampires in this scenario. They start fighting, whips are going back and forth, people are using torches, people are using any kind of wooden item that they can use as a stake, and all hell is breaking loose. Eventually Silas comes back down after talking with Lucy and confronts Liesl directly, and what happens then is just when Liesl gets hit in the back with a large axe, basically, from Silas. Yeah, Silas is the one who threw the axe. And she's wounded and kind of on the ropes. All of a sudden, weapons start flying in Silas's direction, and it turns out it's his brother Arthur, who didn't get killed in the first issue. He sort of disappeared but didn't die. But now he's back, and he's back with reinforcements, and now the fight is on. So what's left to do? Now we have to find out, what is Lucy Westenra up to? What does the super weapon do? And can they all escape with the humans that have been enslaved in this underground vampire city? So that's the deal. Now, as a interesting factoid or side note, this story plays directly into the one shot that just came out last week from Zenescope called Van Helsing Bride of the Night. So in actuality, there are editor's notes in that one shot where the outcome of this story plays into that story. So oddly enough, from a publishing perspective, this mini-series is out of order for the issue that came out last week. So if you want a lot of this to make sense and not spoil some things, obviously, hold off on reading the one shot from last week if you haven't already. Wait till this mini-series is done, this three-parter mini-series is done, and that should make that one shot make a lot more sense. I don't know why they were printed out of order. That's kind of odd, but that's the way it happens sometimes. So just kind of prepare yourself. So what do we like about Van Helsing Vampire Hunter number 2? This is a straight-up, true blue vampire hunting steampunk Victorian era type of monster hunter story, which we like. Pat Shand is a great writer. He consistently does Liesl Van Helsing very well. There's stakes because now we've got a super weapon in play. There is high drama because now we know Lucy Westenra is involved in this scenario, and she's one of the most dangerous vampires around. Obviously, the odds of the vampires being overwhelmingly powerful and just trying to overwhelm the humans in sheer numbers because of their exceptional power and strength creates a big challenge for the heroes. So a lot of great things going on in this issue, and we end on a pretty dramatic moment when we find out that Arthur is alive and he's come to confront his brother, who is now a vampire. What didn't we like about this issue? Honestly, not much. This was pretty straightforward, pretty excellent type of vampire hunting story, and exactly what you want from a Liesl Van Helsing story. If anything, because of her steampunk nature and the type of monsters she deals with, I think Liesl fits better back in the Victorian era than she does in the present day. It's nice that she can be part of the present and deal with and work with other Zenescope characters in a team scenario or sometimes with a team up. But just because of the nature of her character, I think she fits better in the Victorian era. But that's a matter of preference. It's not necessarily a downside of this issue. So Shand is doing a bang-up job. So final thoughts. What do we think about Van Helsing Vampire Hunter number 2 from Zenescope? Great action, great pacing, plenty of drama, good dialogue. There's plenty of intrigue and some surprise moments when you find out who are the famous vampire characters that show up in this issue. So it works all the way across the board. Therefore, we're going to give Van Helsing Vampire Hunter number 2 a 9.5 out of 10. We're going to only go a little bit higher because there's just really nothing to nitpick about this. It was a solid comic from start to finish. So that's it. If you like more comic reviews just like this one, stay tuned to the outro for our next comic review.